Joining us this morning, political analyst Tom Seraphin and former Illinois Republican Chair Pat Brady. I want to start with you two gentlemen about President Biden's speech last night. We saw a president that we've not seen in a while. He was focused. He was energetic. But he also made a point that I know a lot of Republicans are pointing to this morning by saying that the protesters that were there outside the DNC have a point. And some say that he was basically grouping them with the Hamas terrorists in that statement. So I want to start with you, Tom. What did you make of the president's speech last night? Was it effective?
Well, he had a lot to get off his chest. Yes. Unfortunately, in New York, it was, almost midnight. I mean, it was after 11 o'clock before he went on. I wish they had put him on in prime time. I don't know if that was intentional, to wait till the last minute of the evening. It didn't make any sense to me. I thought he was kind of over the top a little bit. It wasn't really what I would have liked to have seen him do. He's wonderful. He's a wonderful gentleman when he's calm and he's relaxed. And, I think he was trying to push it too hard. I mean, but you're right about the Hamas situation. I know the Israelis are having an event, but they can't have it in the city of Chicago because they're worried about security. So they're outside the city of Chicago celebrating and coming together here in the city of Chicago. So. And
Pat, what was your take on the president's speech?
That was too long. And listen, this is a great unifying. The Democrats are on a roll right now. Yesterday was fantastic inside the convention center if you're a Democrat. But the reality to me was Secretary Clinton up there for 17 minutes. For the life of me, I mean, if you're trying to win those 6 or 7 states that matter, which I believe the messaging should be just to them, and I get the politics of getting your party unified, but what appeal is Hillary Clinton to some suburban person in Philadelphia that may come out and vote? I mean, she's one of the least popular politicians that has ever run for president. The only one that was less popular was Donald Trump, and she lost to him. So point one. But point two, Joe Biden, I agree with Tom. He could have given a 15, 18-minute speech, list off his accomplishments, and get behind Kamala Harris. But, the people in the UC loved it. But I don't know how the rest of the country looked at it.
Yeah, the speech was about an hour long last night and got started really late, about 10:30 Central Time.
Well, the energy got sucked out of the room, too. I thought it was as bad as Trump's speech was in Milwaukee.
Yeah, it was
By the end of it, people
too
are looking
long,
for
and it was too late. We were all there, but, you lost a lot of people. They were leaving early. People had to go to work the next day. I just didn't understand what went behind putting him on the air so late. That didn't make any sense.
It was the feed we were getting, it was so delayed, and they should have cut some of it. I mean, they cut James Taylor. I know that's your favorite guy.
Yes, it is. And he likes my wife.
Well, getting back to some of the points from last night, some of those attacks of former President Trump kind of focused on both abortion and COVID. Do you feel like that was the right move?
Yeah, they were playing, they're looking for the women's vote. I mean, the Republican convention, and my good friend was there, Hulk Hogan, and you had all these characters on stage, that masculine, they're looking for that white male out there, and the white males are leading by 10 points in Pennsylvania, 15 points in Michigan to Donald Trump. So these people are now looking for the women's vote. And I think it's kind of crazy to have a vehicle outside where you're giving away free vasectomies, and I don't know if that interests you.
I didn't stop there, but no.
I mean, those are things that just were beyond me. I mean, Well,
it's weird as J.D. Vance people carrying around sperm cups. I mean, there's weirdness on both sides.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a lot of fun. Everybody was there. You're rubbing shoulders. One minute you're turning around, you're talking to Chuck Schumer. Next minute you're talking to somebody else. So it's a lot of fun inside. To get into the building, it takes about an hour and a half, 2 hours to get through security and everything else. To get out, you couldn't get a ride anywhere. Most people, especially if they're disabled, they had a hard time moving from point A to point B. They have logistics problems, but the safety issue, there's no problem with that. I mean, they're doing the city of Chicago is doing a nice job moving traffic and moving people away from this center. But once you're within the corridor or the perimeters, you got a problem trying to go point A to point B, which is the reason they have all that security.
Yeah, you guys have, I think, the backstage pass that a lot of people would want, but most of us don't. And so, they are on the national stage right now. All eyes are them. This is their chance to sell their message. The latest poll that I saw was more Americans trust former President Trump than they do Vice President Kamala Harris on the economy and immigration. What do the Democrats need to say, to do, to get voters on their side in the next 3 days?
Well, that economy number is tightened up. In fact, there are a couple polls that actually have Democrats ahead on that. The immigration's a great point, that they're going to have to address that. But I don't think we're going to hear any substantive policy. We've got, what, 78 days. All this is going to be, it should be, if I were messaging for the Democrats, is an introduction of Kamala Harris to the country. Most people really don't know that much about her. So do a bunch of soft stuff the next couple days and have her get out and give a decent speech, which she's very capable of doing, and roll out from there. But just watching what happened yesterday, I mean, the Republicans and the former president got to quit calling her stupid and questioning her ethnicity and things like that. They need to get back on those two issues, and I think they'll do better. But right now, Trump's in a tailspin. And these guys have a lot of momentum, and they're fired up about their candidates, and it's going to be 3 days of infomercial for free for them.
And speaking of that momentum, tonight we're going to hear from former President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. We haven't heard all that much from them since Kamala Harris has kind of taken over the top of the Democratic ticket. What do we expect from those speeches tonight?
I think you're going to see a repeat of 2008. Joy, love, and peace and hope. They win on that message in November. They don't win if they have to litigate the border situation, the economy. I have a good friend, Nick Mazzarella, always tells me it's always about the economy, and it will go down the stretch, and it's going to. Do people have money in their pocket? So, but the joy and the love is the energy behind the Democrats right now. They don't have the facts with them, but they sure have the energy. They have the momentum.
And this comes down to a couple 100,000 votes, literally. Yeah. And they've got to focus on getting those people out and motivating those people. And that's why, for the life of me, last night I watched them. I'm like, if I'm watching and I'm not a Democrat, I'm not sure that seeing Hillary Clinton talk grievance why she didn't win is necessarily effective.
No, it's all about the youth. If they can get those people from the age of 19, 20, 21 up to 35 to vote, and they weren't voting, they weren't thinking about voting when Joe Biden was the candidate. Without Joe Biden and now with Kamala Harris, they're really kind of energized, and you're seeing some of that. If they can get that vote out, which is difficult, but if they get that vote out,
people have gone to their graves waiting for young people to turn out. Other than Brandon Johnson.
Yeah, well, we haven't gone there yet.
Well, he was at the 1860 convention.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Abraham Lincoln gave a great.
He pulled that one out. He pulled that out.
All right, thank you both. We appreciate the humor and
maybe not.
the analysis.